Welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC. Tower Talk Business Radio brings you conversations with the top business minds on Long Island and around the nation, including expert consultants and small business owners who have found success, but are also willing to share their top tips, failures, and give gritty, matter-of-fact advice based on their first-hand experience. And now, let's get down to business with Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation.
Hello and welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation. My name is Ray Schwetz, AVP of Business Services at NEFCU, with Donyshia Boston-Hill, the CEO of Keeper of the Brand, Marketing and Digital Agency. And we're focused on bringing you the premier resources for business and entrepreneurship.
Ray and I bring you weekly advice, tips, tools, and services that will help you grow your business. Plus, we interview top business and leaders in the industry today. So, Ray, let's talk success.
Yes.
Did you know, well, why do I even ask that? You're Mr. Incredible, so I know you know everything. But according to Zig Ziglar, every sale has 5 obstacles. No need, no money, no hurry, no desire, no trust. Oh, my goodness. I've learned the entrepreneur mindset that overcomes these obstacles is the mantra that I've been listening to over and over again in the last couple of months. That people do business with people they love, people they know, people they like, and most importantly, people that they trust. Ray, what is your sales mantra? Share with me today.
Well, let me get into my zen here. Okay, so my sales mantra. My sales mantra is that, look, to really be a sales superhero, you have to keep in mind who's the person that's in front of you. What is it that they need? It's easy to get caught up in the noise of worrying about what are my goals? What do I got to do this month to meet my sales goals? Because that's the thing that, somebody behind you is cracking the whip on you about that. But the idea is, okay, yes, that should be a concern. But the first primary concern should be who's sitting in front of you? What do they need? Is it something you offer? Is it something that you have a resource to offer? Those are the things that I focus on, and that would be my sales mantra.
Thanks for sharing. You know everything.
Well, now I wish. Yeah, you got to talk to my wife about that one. I don't think so. But anyway, so now helping to provide us with business empowerment today is our guest, the very dynamic Jeff Goldberg. Jeff is president and lead sales trainer at Jeff Goldberg Associates. Jeff is an award-winning sales professional with over 4 decades of sales management, training, and coaching experience. I don't know, 4 decades, huh? You look pretty good. Jeff has had the opportunity to teach, coach, mentor, and speak internationally in front of tens of thousands of sales professionals. Well, then the two of us should be okay. He has trained clients such as State Farm, Aramark, Siemens, Newsday, Cisco, Citibank, and Cablevision. He delivers powerful, high-energy programs and speeches that draw on his years of experience as a performer in theater and stand-up comedy. Now, that I definitely believe. Jeff, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. Excellent.
So tell us, let's start from the very beginning. First, there was what was your very first job, and how did it prepare you for what you do now?
Well, if we're talking about my very first job, yes. I delivered dry cleaning on my bicycle, and I'm not quite sure that it prepared me for this job, although, if I had to think about it, one of the things I did learn was that having a good attitude, smiling, being pleasant to people, actually being friendly, increased my tips. So I think that's part of selling, too. People want to do business. You said it, Donyshia. People want to do business with people that they both like and trust. So certainly that prepared me by helping me learn that you've got to be likable. Nobody wants to see a frowny face.
Absolutely.
Agreed. Definitely a smile goes a long way.
It does.
Now, talking about first impressions. When you and I first met, I always talk about that first meeting just because it was such an impression on me. For what you do, how important is the first impression? How quickly do we make that first impression?
Oh, I think first impressions are crucial. I believe that people judge you within the first 6 to 8 seconds when they meet you. In fact, when I'm training or coaching salespeople, I always tell them that the sales call begins before you even get out of your car. You should be doing whatever you need to do to get ready, both physically and mentally. Make sure, in my case, whatever little hair I have left is combed over properly.
I hear you. We go to the same barber, so I understand.
My tie is centered, but also you want to prepare mentally. But you never know who's looking out their window and whether they can see you. So you should get out confidently, hold your chest up high, walk with confidence, because once you do walk in that door, it becomes the smile, the handshake, and people are judging you before you even open your mouth. So I suggest that first impressions are crucial.
Now, Jeff, why are people so afraid of selling? I mean, I hear it all the time. I was scared of selling, and I'm leading a sales team. What do you think is the biggest obstacle?
So why are people afraid of selling or afraid of salespeople?
Both. Let's try both.
Way to go.
Let's do the first one first, and then yes.
Yeah, okay. Definitely.
So people are afraid of selling, I believe, because it involves massive rejection, and almost nobody loves to be rejected. More people almost always say no than say yes. So it's daunting to know that most of the people you meet with are going to end up telling you no. So it's very hard to go out and put that smile on your face every day and put out that firm handshake and have the conversation that you have to have, knowing that almost all the time, more people are going to say no than yes.
You always have to be on it.
It's kind of like that show, Will and Grace. Mm-hmm. I wasn't a big fan of Grace. I liked Will, but I really liked the other two characters, and one of them was Jack. I don't know if you remember, but he was an actor, and he always used to go, "Just Jack," and he had a big smile on his face. That's really what salespeople have to do each and every time. In fact, years ago when I was going through a divorce, I had a bad year. It was tough every morning, but nobody cared about that Jeff was having a tough time. What they care about, and you said it perfectly, Ray, they care about themselves. They don't really care about you. And part of our job is to get them to like us and trust us so that they do somewhat care about us. But at the end of the day, my belief is this. My clients, even those who like me a lot, in fact, some of them become my friends, my clients would greatly prefer it if I would pay them to let me do my job than for them to pay me. And I don't blame them. So we have to keep in mind, and you said it before, again, Ray, that it's really about them. We have to kind of sublimate ourselves. My come from, and for the radio audience, you can't see, I'm pointing to my stomach right now, but deep inside should always be, how can I help you? Because that's our job as salespeople. How can I help you do whatever you're doing now? How can I help you do it better?
Oh, that's fantastic.
Now, Jeff, I'm sure you run into this all the time. I mean, people call someone who is able to coach them through something if there's an issue. So what would you say if you ran into someone who needed help with their sales force, they were not maximizing their potential? What are the 5 things, could be more if you have more, but what are the 5 things that you would say right away to help them maximize their results and get past this?
Okay. It may not be 5 things, but I'll come up with a few for you. So the first thing that you have to take a look at as a sales leader is, are you leading effectively? Are you being a good sales manager? And one of the things I do is outsource sales management. And the reason that's so popular is because even people with the title sales manager often don't really know how to manage salespeople. There's an art and a science to it, and without a strong or effective sales manager, the only salesperson who does well is a superstar. And unfortunately, most salespeople simply aren't superstars. So you have to be an effective sales leader. That means you have to have enough conversations with your people so that you know that the reason that they really come to work, and they don't come to work for more pieces of green paper with pictures of dead presidents on them. They come to work for whatever that's going to do for them. So the smart sales leader understands why their people are coming to work, what they're really looking for, so they can use that to help motivate them. Once you've got that, you've also got to take a look at, are they doing their job properly? And the first thing you always look at, and first for me as a coach, I always look at, are they prospecting enough? My experience, and I've worked all over the world, and my clients, my prospects, typically have the title CEO, president of a company, business owner, or at a large organization, it's a VP of sales or above. And I get asked lots and lots of questions by people like that about exactly what you're saying. How do I increase sales? And I often exaggerate to make a point, or to embellish a story to make a point, but there's no exaggeration. 50% of the time, the answer that I give to these type of leaders who are asking, what can I do to improve sales? The answer is, tell your people to prospect consistently. Consistent prospecting solves most sales issues, because my experience is, first of all, salespeople hate prospecting because, again, it's massive rejection,
right,
and they simply don't do enough of it. The truth is, you could literally, and this is a technical sales training term, and I hope I'm not saying anything out of line, you could literally suck at selling Mm-hmm. And by seeing enough people, you're sometimes going to run into people who actually have a need for what you want. Now, that's not a great recipe for success, but the first answer is always get your people prospecting consistently and seeing more prospects. The next piece of advice I would give is tell them to stop pitching, because that's what most salespeople do. In my business, we call it show up and throw up. Hi, let me tell you why Jeff Goldberg Associates is the greatest sales training company in the world and why you should use us, blah, 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 blah. You can watch their eyes glaze over. Right. They actually leave the room, not literally, but figuratively, and they can't wait for you to go. Let me tell you all about us and all the great things we do, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's not really what selling's about. You see, most people think selling's about your fantastic pitching, your presentation skills and your strong closing skills. But in my experience of, you said it, over 4 decades, the best salespeople always have 3 characteristics. And the first one is they're the best question askers. They ask great questions.
Okay.
The second one is if you're going to be a great question asker, you got to be a great listener. And most salespeople are horrendous listeners because we think we get paid to talk.
Right.
And the third thing is you've got to be a great storyteller. So if you want your salespeople to do better, you've got to stop them from pitching so much and teach them how to ask better questions. So if you do those 3 things, I think you're well on your way to having a winning sales team. And then, of course, you train ongoingly, you reinforce the training. And it doesn't mean necessarily bringing in a guy like me. There's a zillion books you can read. The internet has this cool thing called YouTube where there's a million videos by guys like me that you can use for free. So they should constantly be learning, training, reinforcing that training. And then here's your 5th step for you. Salespeople, unless they're superstars, need to be managed actively and effectively. And by that, I mean holding them accountable. You've got to, especially when it comes to prospecting, get them to make promises to you on what they'll do in a given time period, a week, 2 weeks, whatever it is, and then hold them accountable to that. And the reason, this is what one of the things I do with my coaching clients, and I think every sales manager should do. Most people will make promises to themselves. I'm going to prospect hard this week, but they'll break the promise to themselves. But they hesitate to break promises to others. I know for me, I'll break a promise to myself. I'm going to start my diet tomorrow. Well, when tomorrow comes, that might not just happen. But if I make a promise to you, I'd rather break my own arm than break a promise to you. So they've got to hold their salespeople accountable.
Gotcha.
Fantastic. You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio. Our guest today is Jeff Goldberg, President and Lead Sales Trainer at Jeff Goldberg Associates. My name is Donyshia Boston-Hill, along with Ray Schwetz. On the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I'd like kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure.
Tomorrow?
Let's check with Mom. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm going to return the kayak. Just make sure you have everything.
Yep. Can we walk home?
How about a taxi? 233 North Maple, please.
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Also, find fun activities to do like boating and biking or camping and hiking, plus much more. It's all right in your naturehood.
Best day ever.
A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Welcome back to Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation, on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Donyshia Boston-Hill, along with Ray Schwetz. And our guest today is Jeff Goldberg, President and Lead Sales Trainer at Jeff Goldberg Associates. Welcome back, Jeff.
Thanks so much.
Welcome back. We're so happy to have you today.
So some great stuff. Really appreciate all that information. Now, I gotta ask you. So you're talking a lot about what we're doing for success. As we all know, the first attempt in learning is failure. What's the hardest thing you've ever personally had to do? And were you successful at it? How did you overcome that? What was the hardest thing?
Not in sales? In anything?
Let's talk about sales.
Let's talk about sales.
Because I was going
Let's
to
keep
tell you
it
the
on.
hardest thing I think is being a father.
Okay. Well, no, we could go with that.
I think that's the hardest thing in
you had
life.
to close that deal.
Yeah.
Well, I did close the deal, except I was a guy who never wanted to have kids, and I only had kids because I got married to a woman I love very much, and she desperately wanted to have kids. And
Okay.
it's incredibly challenging, and I think a lot of people make a mistake, and I don't want